I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody know the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep fucking it out the root. Make country flowers in there, fuck it up. Make country produce in there, fuck it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who fucking up me country. Riding on me donkey, transportation bliss. Me fireside bubbling a goodie. I hear rioting in the gas crisis. Surrounded by wild animals. What a vicious pack. But none of them does launch an attack. None of them poison us like invert and sap. The hunt always on, I could say that much. And true, can switch it off like crime watch. My mission now is to put a stop to whosoever fucking me country up. Some say a man named Eric, George, Robbie and Patrick. Some say Capildeo, Paris, Kamla, Basteo. Old man Bedu said this ain't nothing new. They fucking up long before 1962. If Butler was around, he might have tell we directly who fucking up me country.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Rebuttal. I notice that we are all having buyer's remorse because we gave the government a second chance to fuck up the country even more. I asked the question a couple of weeks ago, what are you balling for? For what are you a ball? It's only gonna get worse, you know. Because where a country is run by people who lack morals, who lack ethics, who lack integrity, and who behave like a crime syndicate, things are going to only get worse. Because you give them a second chance and they consider it a mandate to do as they wish, because they figure no matter what they do, come next election, they can bamboozle you again and get back in power. And so I sitting back and I watching from a distance. But every Wednesday night, I still enjoy coming to you and having this conversation with you, even though you don't get to talk back to me. I hear from you. And so this is okay for me. So if you're in Nevis, St. Kitts, wherever you are in the St. Kitts Nevis diaspora, I want to say good evening to you, and I hope that all is well. I hope that you guys are doing fine wherever you are. The coronavirus is still with us, and you have to recognize that if you drop your guard, there's a good chance you're going to become infected with the virus. And from the stories I've heard, not only is it deadly, but I understand it is really, really difficult going once you get it. Some people are lucky, they're asymptomatic, or the symptoms are not so bad, but you and I may not be that lucky. So I suggest that we take the necessary universal precautions to make sure that we avoid the virus. Before I get into the show, I want to just go through a list of things I have written down here. Some of them I'm going to talk about in greater detail, but I'm just going to highlight them as we go along. First thing, how come you all didn't tell me is so big the fraud case at the police credit union and the labor department, and I dare say the treasury? How come I ain't tell me so big an issue that is? Me and Pete here. This here no simple fraud case, is big money we're talking about. It's big money we're talking about. I'm going to get into that a little bit more. Here's another thing I wanted to draw to your attention, even though you're going to vex because I ain't going to give you the name. I am sure that if I tell you what I hear about what the government is planning about the filling of the vacancy for the UN ambassador, y'all gonna laugh. But it ain't no joke. Somebody pinch me and tell me what they're planning and why it is that up until now a new ambassador has not been named. Right? I tell you, when I hear it, it wasn't no joke for me. But I'm sure in time we're going to find out. Next point here. Is it still true that there is no representative from Nevis on the Social Security Board? That's not nice. And why is it the board has not yet met officially? Is it so that the Prime Minister and the CEO can do as they like? And by time a board comes into place, certain decisions have already been taken. Some monies have already been moved around without the approval of the board. And then, they're going to ask you to approve certain decisions retroactively. And that is when people are getting in trouble. Because you can't tell me that you're going to put your signature on something that you want consultant and something that you want asked to approve as a board. What are you going to do it retroactively? That don't make no sense. Also, is it true what I'm hearing that there is no Nevis representative on the new Boundaries Commission? I don't know if they have gone public with it, but I hear some names thrown around and none of them is from Nevis. So it looks like they plan to change the boundary without Nevis's input. Quite interesting. Is it true that a number of persons have recently been going up to the Sustainable Development Ministry, the Ministry of Sustainable Development, and demanding to be put on the PAP, the Poverty Alleviation Program, because their representatives promised them that they will be put on the PAP, and they promised that before the election so that they could get the vote. I want to talk about that a little bit more. Is it true? Because I don't know. Is it true that things in St. Kitts hard like goat knee, and that people are now having buyer's remorse? People are now questioning the wisdom of putting Team Unity back into power. Especially now that Team Unity got all kind of infighting going on. Every man jacking, they got to watch the back. Every man jack willing to sell out the next man. Meanwhile, the country is suffering. Is it true that a couple of the stores on Port Zante are about to be closed? I heard that a couple of stores are going to close very soon on Port Zante. I am not sure if they will be closed permanently, but it seems that a couple of these stores are going to go out of business very soon. And the worst things you would like to see is a ghost town over there. Because if these stores are closed and if they're not coming back, it's not going to be a good look if and when you open up for tourists, for cruise tourism. I also heard, and you can tell me if it is true, that Electrofab is closing its doors in December. That's a hit to our manufacturing. And I also heard that First Caribbean Bank of Nevis will cease operations on Nevis as at the 30th of November 2020. I am trying to find out how many new teachers were hired this year. I haven't seen anything on that at all. I haven't seen anything about, do they still have induction courses? Do they still have courses where they do a short orientation for teachers? I haven't seen that. I haven't heard anything about that. And I'm wondering if any new jobs were created for teachers this year. And before I take my first break, let me ask you all. Y'all know who this guy Craig Tuckett is? Because I notice that more and more he's becoming involved, or he's involving himself in things in St. Kitts. He claims, or they say, that he is the deputy chair of PLP. All I'm going to tell you, watch he with a caca, Watch that boy there with a caca. Those are the kind of people that Dr. Harris surrounds himself with. And Abba no better than Saba. All I could tell you, watch him with a cockeye and find out some things about him while he lived in Antigua. A fella supposed to get back to me to tell me if it is true that in Antigua a schoolgirl was pregnated by a certain person. Once I get that information, I'm going to share it with you. I know of a particular instance where he said he raised some money from some people in Antigua, I heard, for PLP back in the day. Remember, that was the time when a certain fellow was thieving the contributions to PLP, And this guy, Craig Tuckett, tried to set up Sam about he gave Sam money that he collected. Turns out that he might have, it was what I heard. It turns out that it might have been the leader that he had given the money to. And they try to put Sam in a bad way. by saying that is Sam they gave the money to. So Sam had to rush to a lawyer so that the lawyer could write a cease and desist letter. Watch that boy, I tell you, with a cock eye. Watch him with a cock eye. On that note, I'm going to take a break, and then we come back. We're going to talk them. All right? I'll take a break right now.
I love being in the latest style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamond and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springate on KYSS FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not, in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment with Spread the Word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits, 100% flat. It's the Carl D. Springate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMonline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
One fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave, genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. With perfume to smell just right, you feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry, and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Keon Street.
Ready or not, hear my clothes, can't hide. I'm gonna find you and make you want me.
Ain't nobody tell me nothing. Can't tell me nothing.
I'm Shaniel Francis.
And I'm Dijon Webb.
Kyssfm 102.5 is proud to announce its brand new morning show, Backchat, the only place to hear the hottest music.
From local
Check the area code, direct the area code. Anywhere we go, you know me touch the
to international.
Ay, I go shopping, want it then I cop it. Ay, yeah, bitches popping, I do what they copy.
and have you informed with a range of topics.
tell me nothing.
So on Mondays to Fridays, tune in at 8 to 11.
Tell me nothing.
You won't want to miss the vibes on
Backchat.
Ready or not, hear my clothes.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep forking it out the root. Make country flowers in it, fork it up. Make country produce in it, fork it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who talking up me country.
Welcome back to the Rebuttal. I'm Douglas Wattley, your host. So, I didn't realize, like I said, that the situation at the police credit union was so ginormous. It is a major fraud case. Big money is involved. And we're talking conspiracy to commit fraud as well. I understand that it involves claiming redundancy from the severance funds when you are not entitled to it. And so it has to be a conspiracy. It couldn't be something that was undertaken just by persons in the credit union. It had to involve persons at the Department of Labor, and I am hearing a particular name. And then there may be collusion or conspiracy to commit fraud with somebody in the Treasury. It baffles the mind why people believe that they are entitled to government money, government property. All right? Especially in the kind of significant amount that we are hearing. You understand? This makes absolutely no sense. And one of the chief culprits, a police of all persons, should know better. And so now it makes you wonder, who gonna guard the guard? They put him to guard money, and that turned out to be a disaster. They eye long everything they say they want. And some of them get into relationship and they want to impress, or they want to keep up with the demands from the relationship, and they go and they take other people's money. And they're now like I said, they're telling me that the conspiracy was with an official in the Labor Department. You know, that person in the Labor Department, I remember one time the individual met me at a funeral. I didn't know him, and he came and he talked to me. And I know that I had heard that he was a PLP supporter or a Team Unity supporter, right? But he was talking against PLP or against Team Unity. And I couldn't figure it out because I had seen him on Facebook. I had heard about him. And somebody saw me talking to him and said, "Boy, Wattley, don't talk to him, Don't even take a call from him, He said, "That's a bad news, I said, "Oh, okay." Like I said, that was the one time I spoke to him. I also saw one time where there was a conversation or a dispute on Facebook between he and another supporter of Team Unity from up the village, and he was talking about not getting, and the other person was saying, "Well, I mean, not everybody I get, and you can just get so." But it gives you the sense of how they are thinking, that they're in it to get something out of it, and things to which they're not entitled. You understand? The amount of money, right, that people don't take out of the government under this government is mind-boggling. A lot of these projects, look, you hear people say, and you have to wonder, you hear people say, money pass on the road project. Money pass on the old road bypass project. Money pass on the pier. Money pass on all these particular projects. And you wonder, why is it people believe that they should go into the public service to become rich, to enrich themselves? But then again, we vote them in, so I guess I really can't argue too much. people want to get rich way too quickly. And they are failing to realize, these people are failing to realize that you didn't join the public service to become rich. The public service is about service to the country. It's about service to something bigger than yourself. It is about serving the greater good. You're in the wrong field of work if you are in the public service and intend to become rich. That ain't how it works. And I'm telling you, don't follow those ministers of government. They are not servants of the people. Not how some of them behave. Not because you see a politician enriching himself. Don't follow him. They are going to get away with it. But you are not likely to be so lucky. Just because these guys win re-election does not wash away all their transgressions. Some of them still thief, and they're just waiting to thief some more. What do you believe? All of a sudden, the big belly fellow is different because you re-elected them? No. All that happened is that he gave you a taste, and greedy you voted him back into office. They pay you for your vote. You voted for them. Well, if you did that, I don't think that you are in a position to complain. Look at it. A court of law found 2 of these fellas liable for misappropriating their client's fund. And you voted for them anyway. You have now put yourself in a position where you can't talk badly about nobody. You can't even go and give a presentation to any school child or any group about morals and ethics. Because if they ask you what was your position, if they ask you what you thought about these 2 guys who misappropriated the funds, you would have to say, well, I voted for him anyway. So why then would you not support me if I did something similar? Why should they get special treatment? And so if you support them, you ought to support me. And so these guys tend to get themselves caught by putting their hand in the cookie jar, because they think that you and the system would give them a second chance or turn a blind eye. And that's not how it works. You're not special. And so you are going to get caught and you're going to be punished. Now, one of these guys, I know him. He took it upon himself to go on Facebook under the Libod profile, right? Andre Libod profile, and say all manner of things about me. But I always tell them, you all could say a lot of things about me, but you're not say a thief. You cannot justifiably say that a thief. You understand? And so, look at you now. All kind of things you say about me and my brother Big Lies and another brother I have in Tortola. Because you say my brother in Tortola men bite you. And the woman no mean yours. Right? So how you going to get bite if the woman ain't yours? Right? But I'm saying, if you're that kind of person, then you ought to walk the straight and narrow, because you don't want to get caught off guard. You don't want to get caught up in these kind of things. I wonder if you don't walk the streets, or if you don't hide in a house. Because there's a good chance he gonna go jail, you know. There's a good chance he gonna get locked up. Unless his boyfriend in the government fix it so that this case doesn't go forward. You know what I say? His boyfriend. Don't tell me nothing. I want to hear. I want to believe. You understand? And so, I want you to keep an eye on this story for me, you know. Let me follow it now and see how this year come out. Because the ringleaders are supposed to get in trouble, are supposed to be dealt with by the law. Alright? To be quite honest, the lesser people, I would sooner give them a break. But these two names that I hear, these two ringleaders, they ought to be made an example of. The money not yours, leave it alone. And while you going home, go figure out some kind of trick to thief government, public funds, taxpayers' funds. That makes absolutely no sense. And so, quite frankly, me ain't sorry for them. Me ain't sorry for them. Let the law deal with them, right? But like I said, I'm going to whisper it. His boyfriend might fix it so that he ain't getting no trouble. I mean, the police one. It's the police one. I mean, yeah. I'm going to take a break right now and then we'll come back and chat a little bit more.
I love being in the latest style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamond and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springate on KYSS FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment with Spread the Word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits, 100% flat. It's the Carl D. Springate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMonline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
One fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave, genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. With perfume to smell just right, you'll feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry, and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Keon Street.
Ready or not, here I come. Can't hide. Gonna find you and make you want me.
Ain't nobody tell me nothing. Can't tell me nothing.
I'm Shaniel Francis.
And I'm Dijon Webb.
Kyssfm 102.5 is proud to announce its brand new morning show, Backchat, the only place to hear the hottest music.
From local
Check the area code, the area code. Anywhere we go, you know me touch the
to international,
Ay, I go shopping, want it then I cop it. Ay, yeah, bitches popping, I do what they copy.
and have you informed with a range of topics.
tell me nothing.
so on Mondays to Fridays, tune in at 8 to 11.
Tell me nothing.
You won't want to miss the vibes on
Backchat.
ready or not. You're Mark knows.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep forking it out the root. Make country flowers in it, fork it up. Make country producing it, fork it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who forking up me country.
Welcome back to the Rebuttal. I'm Douglas Wattley, your host. Lord, I can't keep a secret. I can't keep it no longer. I say I ain't gonna say nothing, but I watch what you tell me, you know, because sometimes I talk a lot and I talk too much. But a lot of times I don't lie. Remember I tell you what they're planning to do with the UN ambassador? Look, all these attacks on Mark Brantley are targeted, you know. They're targeted. Mark, as it turns out, knows who he wants to be the next UN ambassador. But certain people don't want Mark to be the one to make the decision. You understand? Mark had want that same person to be the ambassador to the UN, right? Because there's a school of thought that the UN ambassador should be a career diplomat. I can't argue with that. Mark had wanted a certain person to be the UN ambassador since in 2015. But when they were looking for a place to put Sam, Mark went ahead with it. Mark didn't fight it. Well, Sam done, you know. Sam enjoying his vacation after many years of sterling service to the country. Sam a chill. Sam ain't got no deadlines to meet. Sam ain't got no meetings to go to. Sam chilling like a villain. You understand? But now they're telling me that they don't want Mark to name his UN ambassador again. And I personally believe that he should. And I personally believe that he should name somebody from Nevis. But I understand that what they're trying to do, they're trying to wait and see how the case in number 1 goes in the court. Because if the seat is not overturned and if Patches doesn't become the minister in number 1, the representative in number 1, they plan to give it the UN ambassador to Patches. Let me see how that one work out. I say that thing supposed to block up if Mark is denied the opportunity to name. And so all this attack, you know, on Mark ain't just out of thin air, you know. It's motivated by a power struggle. It also is motivated by a desire to put Mark in a place. Mark, I give you some hard time before election, you know. I still gonna give you some hard time. But I with you on this one, yeah. I wouldn't back down on this one, yeah, if I were you. I with you on this one. They get to name all kind of people to all kind of positions. But you're the Minister of Foreign Affairs. At the very least, you should be able to name your chief ambassador, your head ambassador. That is not something they should want to deny you. And I don't care how much they orchestrate information to be leaked to the public and how much they orchestrate for people to come on air to talk badly about you. At the end of the day, you ran your campaign just like them. You won 3 seats just like them. You are part of the tripartite arrangement, that being Team Unity. Everybody else get to do and name whomever they want to name to whatever position. You should be allowed the same courtesy, if not right. That is what I think. By the way, anybody got pictures of that fella Brown and Patches having breakfast? I thought they said they were going to have breakfast. Who take a picture? Put it up on Facebook. They orchestrate, they call, they orchestrate everything. Amateurish. Amateurish. You see, that is now because they recognize that they got 6 seats. And in their mind, in their myopic view, they don't think they need Mark anymore. Because if Mark leaves, they still got 6. They don't think that 5 years gonna come soon. But you see what happened is, Tim is still on a mission to be retained as PM. No matter what he say to Sean, Tim wants to be PM for as long as he could. This is no handing over of the PMship to Sean. In fact, Sean would be lucky to be the head of PAM after the next convention. Sean would be lucky to be Prime Minister, not Prime Minister, but the head, the leader of PAM after the next convention. Oh, you don't understand how this thing go. But in any case, you have to see what Tim is doing. Tim is trying to place his people so that he may be in a position to run a full slate of candidates in 2025, somewhere there about, right? Now, so he's going to have Patches for one. I don't know if you all realize that the young lady is already campaigning and is already being visible in number 1, you know. And Patches is still running in number 1, fighting to be returned as the representative. And even if he fails, he is still planning to show visibility in that constituency, even if he's named UN ambassador. And he plans to run on the PLP slate in 2025. When they were giving out school supplies, it's 2 events they had, one for Patches and one for the young lady. So they had one for Patches, who essentially, officially run as PAM, but who is PLP, and one for the lady who is the representative in waiting for PAM, or the candidate in waiting for PAM. Now, it appears that they plan to change the boundaries. That is what they're thinking, That's what they're looking at. They're trying to see how they could change the boundaries to help Tim. Tim is going to try to change the boundaries, not to help anybody else but himself. Not to help anybody else but himself. And that is why I thought that they were so short-sighted in trying to go after Mark. But you see, you notice that Mark doesn't have a representative on the Boundaries Commission. The question is, what tricks they got up their sleeve, or what they got in store for Mark in Nevis? What is it they got in store for Mark in Nevis? That is the question. Because the boundaries are likely to change. Now, you all know that I thought that the last election should have been on the 2015 boundaries. Labour didn't think that. They ain't take me on that. They could have gone to court and get a decision in the court, right? There's a good chance that they would not have won the election outright after you see the results. But there's a good chance that they would have won at least 3 seats. And then we would have seen what obtains with respect to the negotiations for forming the government. Because they would have had 3, PAM would have had 3, and CCM would have had 3. At least. Right? But Labour not take me on. But it's all right. You know how much nights, how much time I spend, how many nights we talk about forcing them. But somebody went and tell Labour that they could win on any boundary and that they ought not bother. Right? My argument has always been, if you could win on any boundary, I believe it is easier to win on the 2015 boundaries. And you didn't pay me no mind. But that's for another day, because I got to come back and talk to you all about how you all mess up that last election, Me ain't talked to you about it yet. But I still got a conversation to have with you all in public about how you all made a mess of the last election. But I am telling you, Tim has already started planning. Right? The difficulty he's going to have would also be a difficulty for PAM. Because if PAM is going to run a full slate, PLP runs a full slate, and Labour runs a full slate, you're now in a situation where you got to divide the votes by 3. If that's the case, for the time being, Labour has an advantage. For the time being, Labour has an advantage. I don't know that COVID going to come back in 2025 and they're going to have a curfew and they're going to prevent people from overseas to come vote. I don't know what's going to happen. There was a perfect storm of events this time around that put them in the driver's seat and caused them to win the election. You don't know what's going to happen. But I'm just saying, in theory, if you have to split the vote 3 ways, theoretically, Labour has an advantage. All right? But we still have to see what develops. What we know is something will develop. And it's something that they're already thinking about. I just happen to think that trying to ostracize Mark and Nevis was ill-conceived, and we'll just wait and see. Because politics is a funny game, you know. Politics makes for strange bedfellows. You all know that. I mean, nobody been against Pam more than Tim over his tenure in Labour. And now he and Sean hug up and kiss up. I nearly say love up, you know, but let me take that back. I'm going to take a break here and then we'll come back and we'll talk something else.
I love being in the latest style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamond and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springgate on KYSS FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment with Spread the Word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits, 100% flat. It's the Carl D. Springgate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMonline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
One fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave, genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. With perfume to smell just right, you'll feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry, and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Keon Street.
Ready or not, hear my clothes, you can't hide. I'm gonna find you and make you want me.
Ain't nobody tell me nothing. Nobody tell me nothing.
I'm Shaniel Francis.
And I'm Dijon Webb.
Kyssfm 102.5 is proud to announce its brand new morning show, Backchat, the only place to hear the hottest music.
From local
Check the area code, me area code. Anywhere me go, you know me touch the
to international.
Ay, I go shopping, want it then I cop it. Ay, yeah, bitches popping, I do what they copy.
and have you informed with a range of topics.
tell me nothing.
So on Mondays to Fridays, tune in at 8 to 11.
Tell me nothing.
You won't want to miss the vibes on
Backchat.
Ready or not, hear my clothes.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep talking it out the root. Make country flowers in it, park it up. Make country producing it, park it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who talking up me country.
Welcome back to the Rebuttal. I'm Douglas Wattley, your host. And we're going to try to close it out just about now. We're probably going to end up going to about 9:15. That would be an hour and a half. Hour and 15 minutes. Okay. Now, when a government does a poor job in growing the economy, the government has to pick up the slack by becoming the employer of first and last resort. It means that the government has to do most of the hiring. Instead of the private sector doing the hiring, the government would have to pick up the slack and do most of the hiring. Governments that are unable to hire a lot of people in the event that the private sector doesn't thrive sufficiently so that it can pick up the slack, government tends to have certain social programs to alleviate the hardship on individuals. And so in St. Kitts we have the PAP, Poverty Alleviation Program. Now, the government has a PAP program with somewhere in the region of 6,000 plus persons. 6,000 plus persons are on the PAP. To get on the PAP, you're supposed to make less than $3,000 a month. We have a PAP program with more than 6,000 persons. That $3,000 should be per household. So if there's somebody in the household that makes $3,000 a month, right, then no one in the household gets on PAP. That is my understanding. However, that is not the way it is. Like most public programs, it gets contaminated. Politics contaminated. And so you have instances where you have households with 6 and 7 persons in it. All of them gets PAP. PAP is $500 a month in government assistance. Now, you also have a situation in St. Kitts where the PAP has on maybe 3,000 persons, I am told, who do not qualify. But again, PAP is used as a political tool, a way to incentivize persons so that they could vote for the government. And if you were to fuss about the fact that certain people are on PAP, the government would say, oh, you see, they don't want you to get money. So they're talking about you. They don't want you to get the $500. So don't vote for them, vote for us. And then you vote for them. And guess what? You have post-election reality. Then we have another situation, as we've had in St. Kitts, where a lot of people were told that they would be included in the PAP program if they would vote for the government. And many persons voted for the government because they believe that after the election that they would be put on PAP. And it turns out that that's not the case. Internally, it is not being said publicly, but internally, the posture of the Ministry of Sustainable Development regarding PAP is that they are reviewing the program. And so no new persons are added. No new persons have been added since May. But there are a number of persons who were promised. Now, if you were to run the program properly, and if you were to only put on the people who qualify for the allowance, then some people who qualify now could get onto the program. But you can't get onto the program because a great many of the persons in the program right now should not be. And so it is creating an angst, a problem with certain persons. What we have seen happen in recent time is that a lot of persons who were promised to be put on PAP are going up to the Ministry of Sustainable Development and demand that their names be included on PAP. But why are you going up there for? Nobody up by the Ministry of Sustainable Development promise you to go on PAP. Is a minister of government made that promise? Or his or her representative made that promise? In some instances, the representative for the minister in the campaign may be a permanent secretary, which is a technocrat in a ministry. I don't know if that were the case here, but what I am telling you is going up there and confronting the workers, you're out of place. That ain't how it works. They take their policy directive from the politician through the permanent secretary. So any promise that was made by a minister to you, he is the one who's supposed to keep that promise. He is the one who's supposed to send a directive to his permanent secretary, telling that permanent secretary to include you on the PAP. When that is done, then that permanent secretary will send a notice or a directive or a memo to the subordinate officer who is responsible for maintaining and adding persons to the list of PAP recipients, and that they would then do it. Without a directive, that individual cannot do anything, will not do anything. So it makes no sense for you to go up by the Ministry of Sustainable Development and threaten the people, threaten to bang them off. That don't make no sense. Is the minister or the representative of the minister who made you the promise? Go back to them. Tell them, do the necessary so that you could get on the thing, and don't let them tell you that they don't tell nobody. Because even if they don't tell them, the only person they could have told was the PS, not the lower level officer. So I don't understand why you want to go up by the ministry to cause a bliss, to confront anybody. I already told you already. These people, they made the promise. The ministers make the promise. You hold them to the promise. Don't get the civil servants mixed up in that kind of way. It makes absolutely no sense for you to go up there. Some of you gonna get upset when you realize that a great number of the people who receive PAP are Spanish persons who just come, and a whole lot of other people who just come. If you just come into the country and you ain't got no job, you qualify for PAP. And if you come into the country and you in constituency 1, 2, and 3, they're going to promise you PAP so that you can vote for them. They're going to even put you on PAP and give you a couple of months worth of PAP so you can vote for them. But guess what? It has come to a head. Because if you got 6,000 persons on PAP, that's about $3.5 million a month that PAP paying out. And if you got $3 million being paid out on PAP, right? That means that $3 million, if you're paying $3 million a month on PAP for 12 months, whoa, what a thing. That's a big money. That is huge dollars. And then you have another 3,000 people on step. They're getting about $4.5 million a month that is spent on those persons. And then you got another 1 million or so paid to persons on the Pay for Peace program. And so per month, that's about $9 million you're spending there. And then you have another $20 million or so to pay on salaries and wages, not to include STEP, right? And so the government is spending somewhere in the region of $30 million a month. That's somewhere in the region of, what a thing. When you put all of this together, the government looks like it has obligations somewhere in the region of $360 million a year. That is okay if money coming in. And so I go back now to what I was talking about, the difference between the government and the economy. Because even if an economy is doing well, if government makes money because the economy is doing well, it has to do a lot with how much of that money the government has to turn around and spend. Because an economy can be doing relatively well and a government can be struggling because of structural problems they have in the government. And so a government that spends a whole lot of money, especially on salaries and wages, if that government isn't collecting a whole lot of money in taxes, or in this case, taxes plus passport sales, passport revenues, that government is going to have some difficulty. And as we speak right now, the government has some difficulty. And so the government finds itself spending money from the reserves. Remember, I told you that Dr. Douglas had left $637 million in reserve. Well, that money is now being tapped into. The government could borrow, but Timmy Tim doesn't seem like he wants to borrow because he doesn't want you to say, well, look, you're borrowing now when you were talking about Dr. Douglas. There are times when a government has to borrow. This is one of them times when the government has to borrow. It makes more sense right now to borrow than to spend from the reserve. But look at another nonsense you're doing. You spending from Social Security to bolster the government spending. You spent $22 million, you said, in stimulus funding to shore up people's income. Now you're planning to spend another $3. That's $25 million you taking from Social Security. Social Security has not published its financials since 2015. At least when you look on the site, the last one is 2015. So if Social Security doesn't intend to do and publish its financials, then that $25 million there, the impact of that $25 million there on the operations, on the Social Security operations, gonna be hidden. Because 5 years now, you ain't do no accounts. So if another 5 years, you ain't do no accounts, you are doing damage to the Social Security, and we are not seeing it. And then one day you wake up and you realize that the Social Security is in perpetual deficit. If Social Security is in perpetual deficit, and that has been forecasted to be the case from 2023. But I am telling you that 2023 is now. 2023 is now. So money is moving out of Social Security, but none is coming in. Yes, you have a big reserve of somewhere in the region of $1.6 billion. But every time you run a deficit, you must now dip into the reserve to cover the deficit. Remember, I tell you, every time there's a deficit, it has to be paid for. And so, it is estimated that from 2023, Social Security will be taking money from its reserves to pay for its operations. Social Security gets its income mostly from contribution from the workforce. It was anticipated that in 2020 there would be about 28,713 contributors. I don't know if they're telling us the truth, but they tell us that right now it's at 26,000. So if 28,713 contributors were supposed to contribute about $104 million this year, now that it's gone down to 26,000, then it is that much less than $104 million that we are receiving. But if you are spending money. And I understand you're taking it from the reserve. If you are spending money, then it means your deficit situation is real. But you don't plan to do no audits. You don't plan to present no financials. And just like you hid and have been hiding the IMF report, you intend to hide the information from Social Security so we don't know the damage you're doing to Social Security. And then one day you're going to say, oh, we have to increase the age at which people are going to get benefits. Or we have to increase the amount, the percentage of the withdrawals from salaries. Or we have to this, or we have to that. But you are doing damage right now rather than repairing the situation and making the Social Security stronger. You're killing Social Security. And that is part and parcel the reason why the Social Security Board has not been settled and why the Social Security Board has not met. 3 months now they have not met. So it means that is the PM and the CEO running the Social Security. And God knows what kind of decisions they're making because there is no board to oversee anything. And even though Eugene Hamilton's supposed to be the minister with responsibility for Social Security, you know that's God blessed dead. British American went bankrupt with he working there. Did he sound any alarm? He just collected his check and went home. And I have no reason to believe that he ain't going to do the same thing right now. Eh? We are playing with fire. I know you all say, man, they can't done $1.6 billion now. No, can't done it tomorrow. But the estimate is that it will be done by 2037. That's just 17 years ago. I mean, from now. And I am willing to argue that it's, at this point, less than 17 years from now. So maybe by 2030 or 2032, if these boys continue to do what they're doing, instead of going out and borrowing the money on the strength of the central government, you're using Social Security money. How much more of that kind of poor decisions are you going to make? Borrow, man. Or raise taxes. You boast about how much surplus you got. And now nobody can see the benefit of the surplus. You're jeopardizing Social Security. And I know you're going to say, by Wattley, every week you talk about that. Maybe you should give it a rest. Right now, my retirement depends on the success of Social Security. Yours too. You understand? Yours too. And remember, we get out what others put in. Do you where these guys running the economy? The number of contributors to Social Security may very well continue to decline over the next couple of years, which means less money going in. Sit down and work out the logic of what they're talking about. And you would see how quickly you could finish $1.6 billion. It ain't that hard to finish $1.6 billion. A word to the wise is enough. A word to the wise is enough. Or you could abuse me all you want. I know that none of you are going to ever say that I saw it coming and I didn't say anything. I saw it coming and I banged my mouth. Vex if you want. In fact, Quebec's dead. I am telling you right now, you have a government that is very callous. You have a government that has no idea how to grow the economy. And as the economy stagnates, not stagnates, the economy is in free fall actually. The economy is in free fall right now. Economic growth is probably minus 20 by now. The economy is in free fall. So if you got an economy that is in free fall, right, you know how bad it was before the pandemic. Consider if this prolong for this goes on for a long time, right? No money coming into central government. If no money is coming into central government, the only option central government has is to tax you, you know. The way government raises its money is to tax you, whether direct tax or by fees. Government, look, let me tell you something. The day people stop buying passport, dog eat with supper. Because we have not created an economy that can survive without that $200+ million from passport sales. The day people stop buying our passport, dog eat with supper. And by now, we should have created an economy that could survive without the perennial purchase of tens of thousands of our passports. That is what they're depending on right now. They're depending on passport sales. The discounting passport sales left, right, and center. And don't get me even started. Is a bunch of fraud going on with this passport thing. A lot of people enriching themselves on this passport thing at our expense. And so you all better pray that they could sell more passports. And then one day you're going to wake up and you're going to realize that the population of St. Kitts, who are by citizenship, by investment, is larger than the indigenous population. See all them buildings they're building over Frigate Bay and all them so-called hotels that the Chinese put in there? Them are residents. Them are residents. Just wait. Wait and see when one day you wake up and 5,000 of them arrive in St. Kitts. And then another 5,000 arrive in St. Kitts. And then another 5,000 arrive in St. Kitts. That's 15,000 I don't call there, no. And then another 5,000, that's 20,000. And then another 5,000, that's 25,000. Then another 5,000, that's 30,000. Then another 5,000, that's 35,000. Then they would have matched us. It would have been half-half. We would be half Chinese and half persons of African descent. Oh, and did I tell you another 5,000 gonna come in? Because I will not get no children, you know. So I will not get no 5,000 natural birth, you know. The growth is gonna be by people coming in. Next thing you know, 40,000 people from China living in St. Kitts. 36,000 indigenous people. A population of 76,000 people in St. Kitts. Change up your landscape. All of a sudden you are a minority in your own country. Colonized again. Not by England, but by China. As Trump would say, China. By that time, I hope that I would have vacated the scene called Earth. So, me ain't gotta worry about that. That's a thing to thing to look forward to. That ain't my story going forward. Right? That ain't my story. Me just tell you how we gonna go. So that we can say, oh, no, me no. Me tell you how we gonna go. You understand me tell you? You hear me every time saying that right now, St. Kitts could be represented in the Olympics and the World Cups and so by persons who ain't look like us. Well, that's gonna happen soon. It's gonna happen soon, you know. Well, you think St. Kitts gonna be represented by a Chinese gymnast? Chinese. But you have to functioning under we flag because by then he's a Kittitian, you know. And then they're gonna sue for full citizenship rights so that they could vote. And then, just like how you paid to win an election, all they're gonna do is make sure that their people are positioned in the constituencies. Their people would vote for them, and the rest of us will owe money. So they're going to pay us to vote for them too. And one day, it's all Mandarin you're going to hear in Parliament. All Mandarin you're going to hear in Parliament. Don't take over your government too. Lord have mercy. I'm going to get in trouble, so let me done. Guys, I'm going to stop right there. Y'all take care. Have a great evening. Alright? See y'all.
The crime and the permissiveness in the society. Hey, you give me TV, you give me cable, you also give me pornography. You give me drugs, you give me guns. You also give me a modern telephonic connection. Plus you bloody well know where there are progressive tendencies, there are rises in criminal activity. There are rises in criminal activity. Helicopter over the area. What are you calling for? Why is it as soon as the crime done, the police hurry come? What are you calling for? You see, nobody concentrates on preventative measures. Nobody gives a damn about the very roots of the problem. What are you calling for? For what are you for? I saw more working here tonight. Yes, man. Hey! Hey! You educate me in school. You inflicted that golden rule. You made sure I didn't become a fool. You gave me ideas. You gave me hope. You gave me reasons to regard you as a role model. I followed your leadership. I followed your example. But now the both of us end up in trouble. Helicopter over the entire area. What are you balling for? Why is it as soon as the explosion, the police hurry come?
What are you balling for?
Nobody concentrates on the preventative measures. Nobody gives a damn about the very root of the problem. What? All you in here falling for? All you are born. I wouldn't fall. I saw. I just don't want to be critical without offering a couple of solutions. Start anti-drug classes, build rehabilitation centers, and cable ought to be carefully monitored. And the police should manifest a true symbol of honest impartiality. And the same police ought to share more information with the press and the rest of the community. For in the final analysis, it's we, the same people, they're coming for help with the investigative inquiry. Are you balling for? Are you are born? Thank you. We want it back right. Don't go away. One more time. Blah, blah. All right. Thank you. Hey! You educate me in school. You inflicted that golden rule. You made sure the black did not become a fool. I followed your leadership. I followed your example. I made sure I regarded you as a role model. You gave me hope. You gave ideas. You also gave me reasons to regard you as a role model. And now, today, look, they know both of us end up in trouble. Scotland Yard, all over Sadler's area. Bradshaw, what? You balling for? Why is it as soon as the crime done, them police hurry come? What are you balling for? You see, nobody concentrates on preventative measures. Nobody gives a damn about the roots of the problem. So what? Are you balling for? All you are born. Yes, man.